Hi, my name is Emanuela Afoyewere. I am from Uganda and I have been studying at ALU since May. My time here has been very conducive, especially because ALU offers practical experience more than just academic. ALU is a very diverse community. We have up to 40 African countries represented on campus on any given day. And about politics, I am interested in politics, specifically governance and regional integration. They are my GCGOs of interest. Those are grand challenges and great opportunities. I've been interested in politics ever since I was a young child. And when I found out about ALU, that it was an institute built for Africans by Africans, it was a no-brainer for me to attend school here.
I'm Ochon Johnson Aduma. I'm a Mastercard Foundation scholar from Nigeria. I'm 23 years old and I joined ALU in January 2022. So this would be my third year with the university. So far my experience has been a good one. My journey to ALU has not been a straight one. I first applied to the Mauritius campus, and when the school was introducing the new model, we had the option of waiting to rejoin the Mauritius campus or coming to Rwanda. And I opted to come to Rwanda, and I can say I do not regret that decision.
Hi, my name is Victoria Ndaya Muludiki. I am Congolese by nationality, but I was born and raised in South Africa. Coming to ALU has been an experience. It has been a lovely experience first and foremost, and Rwanda also being one of the major critical points of the whole experience has also been great in the sense that the country is very welcoming. How I even came to know about ALU was through one of my family members. Actually, prior to that, all I knew about Rwanda was it was the greenest country on Africa. But I didn't know too much about it. But as time progressed, I did a bit of research and I was like, oh, okay, the country is interesting despite the history. I was still very interested in the country, and obviously my university being here was just like, the icing on the cake. But yeah, so far the experience has been good. What I can say is I've had a great time. I've felt welcome. There's never been a time whereby I felt out of place. So yeah, that's definitely a pinpoint that I can.
Hi, my name is Simeon Azekongyu. I am Cameroonian. I learned about ALU after graduating from high school. I was a scholar for another foundation in my country that offers scholarships to high school students. So after graduating from high school, they helped me apply to ALU. And also I had like good achievements and stuff. So
as at the time I made that decision, it was just my mom. My dad is late now. And the decision was not coming from a financial point of view because I already had the Mastercard Foundation scholarship. So it was more of if Rwanda was going to be a safe place for me. And despite the fact that my mom was in support of my decision, I had a lot of mentors that advised against it. And the main reason for that was because Rwanda had just come out of the genocide. So there was this feeling that we could still go into another genocide, or maybe the place was not safe enough for me. But I went online, I kept reading about Rwanda, trying to understand if it was a good decision for me personally. And from what I saw online, I could see that Rwanda was heading somewhere. And it was more of, do I want to join Rwanda in heading to that destination, or do I want to miss out on this opportunity? And that was how I came to make the decision. And like I said earlier, I do not regret that decision.
So, as I said before, I am Congolese. I was born to refugee parents. So my parents actually they went to South Africa because there was a war going on at that time. And irrespective of the fact that I was born in that country, the law in South Africa is structured in such a way that if you are born to refugee parents, you are by default considered a refugee. So being a refugee in South Africa is not like a very painful experience as most other countries are. Like some countries really go through a lot. Really, you do have opportunities, but there's limited opportunities, if that makes sense. So you'll find that maybe there are many scholarships and many bursaries that you can apply for, and 95% of them are only for South African citizens. So for me, especially coming from the background that I come from, I knew that I did not want my parents to have to, stress about paying for my studies. I really wanted to apply for scholarship, bursary, but it was really limiting. So that was one of the reasons why I actually had to leave South Africa. And because I did, in the end, by God's grace, get a scholarship, and the scholarship required me to leave South Africa, that was also one of the reasons why I left South Africa. But really, it was more so because there was a limitation in opportunities. That's like one of the main reasons why I had to leave.
Rwanda is a very, very beautiful country. Mauritius is also beautiful, but I believe that I will get like more experience and more culture here. I've heard a lot of stories about Rwanda being the cleanest country in Africa, Rwanda having diverse culture, Rwanda being open to a lot of tourists and stuff like that. So I believe like coming here in Rwanda will be a way for me to gain more, learn more, and probably experience a new culture.
Uganda and Rwanda are neighbors, but they're also very different in multiple ways. When I came here, I had a series of cultural shocks. That is when you do not understand what is going on because it's different at home. And there were things that were very different, not to mention the weather or just the general way that people lived. In Uganda, we are more expressive and open, and in Rwanda, they are more conservative and closed. So that was a cultural shock for me. But over time, you get used to it. Rwanda is a very lovely place, and it's similar to home because we have similar cultures. And so I tapped into the things that I understood, and that helped me get comfortable.
Oh, my family was worried. At first, when I had gotten the scholarship, obviously that was a dream come true for me because I had already, as I said before, I didn't want my parents to have to pay for my studies, and that finally happened. But when we found out that the university was one, outside of South Africa, and two, in Rwanda, and the current situation between Rwanda and Congo was a very tense situation. My parents were not very supportive in the beginning. They were concerned, obviously, reasonably they would be concerned as parents. And just because we did not know what to expect, it was really a scary situation to be in. But nonetheless, eventually, somehow, my parents came to terms with the fact that, you know what, we're gonna let you go because it's what's best for you. And in the end, I'm really grateful that they let me go because it was best for me. Because really, I feel as though I've been stepping into reaching my full potential and reaching more achievements than I would have never reached if I stayed back in South Africa. And despite the whole politics between Congo, Rwanda, and what is going on the internet, when you come to the country, you realize that the reality of the situation is more in the governmental sector. Like, the people are so welcoming. It doesn't really matter where you're from. I felt welcome from like the moment that I entered the airport already. You have people that are willing to help you. And I remember that I did struggle a little bit because my flight delayed once, so the people that were supposed to come and fetch me, I didn't know how they looked, I didn't know where they're coming from. And I remember that it was actually a Rwandan lady that stuck with me, like in the beginning. When I had arrived, she was like, okay, fine. Until we managed to reach my university to contact them to let us know the progression of the transportation. She stayed with me all throughout. She even offered to drive me to my student residence, but I didn't know where it was. So unfortunately, that could not happen. But I felt so welcomed, honestly. Like, the hospitality is amazing anywhere you go, and especially when you're not Rwandan, there's always someone willing to help you, willing to take you. If you go to the market, if you go to the stores, someone says, do you need help? Even if the language barrier is there, sometimes the willingness to genuinely help someone is absolutely amazing. So there's never been a day where I felt that I wasn't loved.
So I've been in Rwanda for 8 months, and I would pretty much say the people of Rwanda have been very welcoming. The country is clean, have good atmosphere, and not as compared to that of other countries where there are a lot of refuge and climate change and stuff. So Rwanda has a good climate, very welcoming people, and overall my experience has been wonderful, truly exciting, and I could stay here for much longer.
So about education in Rwanda and the president, the way that things are governed here, I do find it very exemplary how Rwanda, unlike the other African countries, has been able to peacefully recover, and that's what drew me here. Because from a governance perspective, the way that Rwanda is governed today, I feel like for me, who's interested in politics and governance, it's something that I can learn from and tap from when I'm thinking about the future of Rwanda and where I want it to go and how I want it to look like. And I think studying in Rwanda, in person here, helps with that, because then I get to experience it firsthand, and that is the best way to learn.
So coming to Rwanda, I've been introduced to the concept of self-directed learning here at ALU, and I would say it's one of the best system of education because I've got to learn a lot about myself. First of all, when I came to ALU, we were being taught about self-awareness, being able to think properly. So I think that was one of the major lessons I enjoyed here. And if I go back home, I'll tell people the educational system here is the best.
My experience as an international student in Rwanda has been one of mixed feelings. So back home, I was used to the fast-paced life. Everything is just moving. But coming to Rwanda, I had to calm down, basically. And the fact that Rwanda is calm, Rwanda is cool, people take their time to do things, not really rushing it. So I had to adjust to that lifestyle. But one thing that fascinated me a lot about Rwanda was the way everywhere was clean. Like, it was just, I lack words to describe it. So back home, I was used to seeing polythene bags and maybe refuse by the roadside. But coming to Rwanda, there was no refuse dump, no refuse heap. Every morning you would see the women sweeping the streets. Once rain falls, it looks so beautiful. And I was like, okay, this is something that is good. And this is something I would probably want to take back home. But overall, the experience has been good in terms of Rwanda being calm, Rwanda being clean, and Rwanda being safe. Safe is a very important word for me because it is no longer a hidden fact that back home, not everywhere is completely safe. There are some places you may see a bit of insecurity or the others. But coming to Rwanda, I could take a walk by 1 a.m. and not be worried about my security. That is how good Rwanda is to me.
One thing that I have faced here, or the challenge I've faced, it has to do with interacting with the locals because they don't speak English and I'm from an English country. So that was the only problem I had navigating through Rwanda. But overall, if it's about welcoming people and also prices of things are really expensive, but I would say that Rwanda is a beautiful country and beautiful people, a lot of diversity and wonderful culture. So yeah, everything has been exactly the way I expected it to be.
One thing I would tell someone who is coming to study at the African Leadership University is come with an open mind, because the ideologies that you may have before joining the university will not be the same ideologies you have while you're in the university, and they may most likely not be the same ideologies you'd have when you're about to graduate from the university. So come with an open mind, willing to learn, willing to be a part of the process, and willing to utilize the resources that have been made available to you.
So one thing I'm learning that I'm taking home is the concept of inclusivity. So when I was back home, I wasn't really inclusive. I didn't know how to interact with foreigners. In fact, I didn't interact with foreigners back home. Coming here, I've been able to network. I think I'll call it network. I've had a lot of network, meeting with people from different countries, different backgrounds, different languages and all of that. It has really taught me a lot. It has taught me to think differently because when I was back home, we have one mentality back home. But I've come here and then I've met students from different countries. Like here at ALU, we get up to 40 different countries represented on campus. So it has taught me to think differently, maybe try to be like the other people of other countries and see how their lives are. And then maybe go back home. I'm going to be better at the way I act with other people and maybe teach them the new cultures I've learned.
So for me, my major takeaway, even though it's only been my first year here, doing my first year in university, I feel as though the experience in itself has been, it's been enjoyful in the sense that, you know, being an international student here, you really are exposed to just as many opportunities as the Rwandan citizens are. You know, there's not that type of segregation because there's a sense of community, there's a sense of unified growth here, as opposed to maybe, as I said, I come from South Africa, where you can really feel that you are not from there. Like even the international students would have to pay different school fees as opposed to people that are staying within South Africa. So really, you will have a unified experience. You won't ever feel that you are out of place despite not being from the country. You will always feel welcomed. You will always feel that you are part of a community, because in the end, the education here is amazing, and I feel as though Rwanda is one of those countries that is really striving for a unified Africa and really striving for the progression of education, especially for the youth. So yeah, it's definitely a step that I would advise someone to take.